Cross promotions, a world where the name of the game is fusing one most popular thing with another most popular thing to get who the cares, as long as it taps into a new audience and a new market. Money! As such, Transformers toys have been fused with all sorts of stuff, with varying results, like really varying. So let's start with the more obvious ones, before moving on to some stuff you might not necessarily expect. Then in the next vid, we doing knockoffs and
Let's begin.
Let's start with the imaginatively titled crossovers, which seem to be mainly Star Wars figures. And I'm just going to throw these out there real quick. We've got a battle droid, a flying battle droid, Ahsoka's Jedi Starfighter, Plo Koon's Jedi Starfighter, Anakin's Jedi Starfighter, Anakin's Y-Wing, Stacey Tin Starfighter, Kit Fisto Starfighter, Palpatine's Imperial Shuttle, a Darth Vader Starfighter, Darth Vader TIE Bomber, a Darth Vader Star Destroyer, Darth Vader Death Star. But that's it. That's all the Star Wars toys that have ever been made, ever. Now, the crossovers line covered a bunch of Marvel toys, too. There was the Hulk. He transformed into a tank. There was Iron Man, he turned into a fighter jet, also a sports car, also a stealth bomber, also a Humvee. Venom, no, not that Venom. He's probably my favorite Marvel character, but he is a little disappointing to say the least. And of course, we have a Carnage one that's just a red repaint of him, and equally disappointing. Like, seriously, look at this, and now look at this. Thor turns into a warthog. But the best of the bunch is probably the Cap one. I actually quite like this one because when you see vids of it, you'll see that it looks and feels really chunky. Plus, I love that the shield can expand when you press the button in the middle. Ding, 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 ding. But mainly because he looks and feels like Captain America.
Now, folks, a surprise treat. Johnny Storm performing his own song.
This is for you, Melinda. Hey, y'all, they teach this in school. It's not...
I'm not wild about the Human Torch. To me, it's just an orange bot with a couple of flames here and there. Like the Thor one, for example, I'm no fan of the bot mode, but at least it looks like Thor. Like if you saw this without knowing, it would take ages to figure out who it's meant to be. Same issue I have with the Venom one, really. If you cover up that head and that logo, this really could be any bot. The one great Marvel character was Expanse, which turns into the X-Men's Blackbird, one of the coolest vehicles in Marvel. And the design of the bot mode is pretty epic too, even having the Cyclops visor and these Wolverine claws made of energy. I'm not sure that makes a load of sense, but it does look cool. And that brings us onto the collaborative line, which was much more interesting to me and featured figures like Ectotron from the Ghostbusters crossover comic is definitely one that I'd love on my shelf. I've always loved the design of Ecto-1, and the bot he turns into is pretty rad too. Even better than that was Gigawatt. Now, whilst the crossover comic was a little formulaic, there's no denying the fact that the DeLorean is one of the all-time greatest movie vehicles. It has a signature look and works so well as a Transformer. One of my favorites. He's got the flux capacitor in his chest, he's got that cool little face. The wheels even turn inside so it can go into flying mode. This guy even seems to come with a pole. You know that thing they used to hook the cable with, catch the lightning? That's a pretty cool detail, but it doubles as a pretty strange weapon, I find. It's just like, is it a baton or is it like a rifle of some kind? Then to celebrate the long-awaited Top Gun sequel, there was Maverick. I've seen on the shelf and it looked awesome. Seeing the robot mode here, that's very disappointing. But at least they didn't just make it a Starscream knockoff, I suppose. It even has a volleyball just so you can get that slight whiff of homoeroticism back in your nostrils again. Also, I'd assume that this guy's alt mode was based on the F-14 like in Top Gun, but no! According to internet, it's actually a VF-1 Valkyrie from Robotech. Remember that? No, me neither. There was a Universal Classic monster line. You know, Frankenstein, Wolfman, the Mummy, all those guys. But so far, it seems like we've only got two. But let's start off with Dracula, a super cool looking con who transforms into an awesome looking bat. Clearly modeled on Titan's Return Ratbat, this fixes to me what is the biggest problem with Ratbat. This fucking color that just doesn't suit a giant bat at all. Ratbat would be 100% less goofy if he was this color. Factoid. But he got a cool face sculpt as well, the little jacket and waistcoat, and look at the collar, the Dracula collar. I love this guy. Then there was the Frankenstein one called Frankentron. He turns into a tank, just like the Impactor figure that he's based on. Problem is that it looks a little strange with them trying to incorporate... What are these things called again? Tesla towers, no? No, it's Tesla coil. Tesla tower's that thing from Helldivers. You know, the thing you use when you want to kill your whole team. Anyway, this thing becomes the main tank cannon. Odd. Then there was the Jurassic Park crossovers with Tyrannicon Rex and the spitting Dilophoncon. And you know what? Let's start there with him. This one was part of a set to commemorate the anniversary of Jurassic Park, the 13th anniversary, bizarrely enough. That included an Autobot called JP-12 that turned into the Jeep from the scene where Newman...
Hello, Newman.
Escaping with the Dino DNA after having sabotaged the whole park, crashes his Jeep before his game of peekaboo with the Dilo. Hello! So the Jeep is Autobot JP-12, brilliant Jeep alt mode, and looks pretty cool in robot mode too. He's got a... what is this, a fireman's hat? Putting out blazes? Plus, he's got the DNA container, and his face is reportedly based on Dennis's face. What? That's actually a really good likeness. Not quite so good as Dilophoncon. which I think must be modeled on one of the Beast Wars guys maybe. Main thing I don't like about him is that his lower legs in Dino mode are just left this kind of crappy brown, and literally zero attempt is made to make them blend with the skin texture. Oh well. Going back to the original crossover set though, which came out a couple of years prior, that gave us the JP90, which is brilliantly screen accurate, even including the massive upside down shotgun on the roof. Remember from that scene? Tyrannicon was based on one of the Beast Wars Megatron figures and is one of the most impressive T-Rex toys. Look at this thing. Now, I was really curious to see how they would differentiate the bot mode from Megatron, and personally I feel like they could have done more, and even though red is normally my color, I'm not sure it's working for me here. Don't really like it. The Stranger Things Surfer Pizza van is awesome and full of character too. Look, it turned into a bot called Code Red. He's got a couple of really neat touches, like the surf sign on the top of the van turns into a blaster, and I really love his robot mode, although I've seen a couple of people online saying it's pretty generic. I love him though. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover was a little confusing to me, as everything we've seen so far has transformed into a robot, as if, you know, like a Transformer somehow found himself in their universe and had to disguise itself. But these guys turn into actual turtles, so yeah, I don't know, I'm probably overthinking it, but, you know, that's what I do. The turtle van is, as always, awesome, and this seems to do it full justice. I think they've got interchangeable heads as well, and also you can swap the leather on their belt, so you don't have to buy all four. Like, you can just swap it and make it become your favorite turtle. There's a My Little Pony crossover too, but I think it was kind of just like a Funko Pop, really. It was called My Little Prime. What, it had the Autobot insignia spray painted on its ass? There was a concept that was shown at one of the BotCons, though. It would have given us the Twilight Sparkle Prime. It was a repaint of a Beast Machines figure called Battle Unicorn. Yeah, they were high as f when they were making Beast Machines. Knight Rider was one of the biggest shows of the 80s, so it's a perfect choice for a crossover for a brand like Transformers. Plus, Kit was such a cool car design, the epitome of retro futuristic cool, that it literally couldn't be more fitting. There are other connections too. For example, Peter Cullen was the voice of Kit's nemesis, Car, a role that he reprised in the 2008 reboot. And in this one, Car actually turned into a robot.
Kit must die. Then you and I will become one.
Of course, the toy's vehicle mode is cool AF with the pop-up headlights that actually work, and his bot mode isn't far behind, being an Autobot called Agent Knight. I love his red visor, which I'm guessing is a nod to the red light bar that Kit had in his bonnet. The only way they could have made it better would have been if it included what is called, Pursuit mode, or Super Pursuit mode, where loads of spoilers and fins popped out from Kit everywhere, and he got an increased top speed. This one isn't out yet. I've got it on pre-order. I can't wait. So that's a few of what I would say are the more obvious ones, you know? But there have been quite a few that you might not expect. For example, the Naruto animal ones. You know, a waistcoat-wearing frog and the multi-tailed fox. Personally, I've only seen a couple of eps of Naruto myself, so I'm not really sure what that's all about. Also coming out later this year is a Monster Hunter crossover and a transforming version of Rathalos, dubbed Rathalos Prime. From what I can see, this one's slated for summer 2025, so if you don't know, Rathalos is a powerful wyvern and has been the icon of the Monster Hunter franchise. Just from looking at the pictures though, telling I'm no fan of the feet. I think those are kind of odd. The Godzilla crossover has to go down as one of the single greatest disappointments on this list. Personally speaking, the initial excitement that I had at the coming together of two of my favorite franchises was absolutely and brutally crushed. It had all the hallmarks of greatness. The 40th year of Transformers, the 70th year of Godzilla. Megatron was going to turn into Godzilla. Prime was going to turn into Kiryu. But these what were delivered. Godzilla is just a black Grimlock, and I literally have no idea how this relates to Kiryu at all. I guess because he's grey and he's got blue things on his shoulders? But come on, you can do better than that, guys. There's a Sonic crossover in the pipeline, with the Speedy Hedgehog turning into the Speedstar. Cool, if slightly uninspired. Tails turns into the Tornado. The Tornado being this biplane that appears in a bunch of the games in the card. To me, Tails is quite a bit more interesting of the two. I'm guessing this would give us Megatron Eggman? Maybe Eggman would make a better Grand Galvatron. I'm not sure. Hopefully we get the full set of these, including Knuckles and Shadow and whatnot. They even teamed up with Disney at one point, a collab that gave us the Disney label. There was a Bumblebee Donald Duck, there was the Mickey/Optimus, and get this, grey versions of both, and a Halloween one too, but that looked like a fucking mess to me. Rescue Bots crossed over with the Potato Heads, including the huge Optimus and Grimlock set, which in classic Potato Head fashion were all interchangeable. Like, for example, you could fudge together Opie and Starscream to have Potato Prime, riding around on Starscream's back. It tied in with the rescue bots too, with High Tide and Boulder and those guys. There were Angry Bird crossovers to go with the game crossover, and in 2007, Nerf did an Optimus Battle Rig Blaster and a Starscream Barrel Roll Blaster that transformed into working foam flingers, and with only one lever pull. Basically, you just push a dart up OP's tailpipe, then shove your arm full into the back of his trailer. Then yank a lever on the top of his trailer and you're left with what looks like Optimus's hand holding a blaster. Same with Screamy, only his one is a double barrel gun. There was also a Rise of the Beasts Optimus that turned into a blaster, as well as this Optimus Primal themed blaster and an Earthspark Cyber Sleeve, neither of which transformed as far as I can see, but this one did, and look at that, it looks awesome. Beyblade had Optimus, Bumblebee, and Megatron themed blades at one point, Starscream one too I think, but I think the crossover that surprised me the most was the Hello Kitty crossover, mostly because Kitty seems to transform into a garbage truck. I mean, sure, it has Optimus colors in robot mode, but the vehicle mode, why is Optimus a garbage truck? Why are any of them garbage trucks? I guess it's supposed to be just like a truck, but cutesy. Oh, you know what? I did this thing. It's called Googling. And I found out that it's because it's based on Q-Formers. Remember that Japanese one where they all hang out in service station? Yeah, that's another story. There was also a Halloween edition of this one where Kitty was not only a Decepticon, but had a bunch of scars and pumpkins and stuff. There was also a Snoopy version of this same toy, as well as a few I don't recognize. Right, there's a Rabbit one, Evangelion ones I think they are. And speaking of Evangelion, they recolored Optimus in Eva colors, who aside from all the green highlights, looks a fuck of a lot like Shattered Glass Optimus. Is that just coincidence? G-Shock did some TF stuff. It's like this watch holder that turns into an Optimus, which then holds the watch in his chest. And famously, there was Sports Label, which gave us the Captimus Prime and the Decepticon Capticon. I'm not entirely sure how big these things are. Like if you can actually fit them on your head. Not that anyone would want to wear them, because that hard plastic must hurt like a motherfucker. Oh, wait a second. Forget everything else I just said. It's absolutely tiny. Sports Label also gave us a series of Nike running shoes. Pretty cool, actually. It was the Convoy one, the Blue Convoy one, the Megatron one, and the fabled red one. Street Fighter 2 even got in on the act with Convoy Ryu and Megatron Vega. Both of these guys turned into jets. One's a recolored Titans Return Megatron. J Balvin is a huge musical artist from Brazil. So huge that Hasbro thought they'd get in on that and recolored Soundwave yellow in his honor. Yeah, J-Dog here often uses a smiley face logo, hence the yellow. Otherwise, just Soundwave with neon colors. Look at that rainbow vomit. And while we're talking about musical artists, there's also an Optimus that got recolored to represent Bump of Chicken, which is the Japanese band that did the music for that Studio Trigger 40th anniversary video. God knows why they don't let Studio Trigger do a Transformers series. Anyway, why Optimus is colored like that for the Bump of Chicken thing, I don't know. I don't know what the connection is. I think it's something to do with their bass player, but again, these colors, him, I don't know. Don't know what the connection is. All right, you guys, I'm sure there are tons more, so let me know whatever I missed in the comments below. Also, let me know which brands you would like to see crossover with Transformers. I would go with Helldivers. I'd love to see the divers going up against the Automacons. Maybe there could be a bio-organic one that turns into a Bile Titan. Make sure you're checking out my knockoff vid that's currently on Patreon and in the member section, and will be out to everyone else in a couple of days. Next up, we got either the most powerful triple changers or the Galvatron Spotlight vid. Depending on what I feel, you know. So until then, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you very soon for the next one. Cheerio, bye!